Gary, thing number three, I know you and I both cheering for Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy in DOGE, but you have a little skepticism in terms of whether or not they can actually cut meaningful amounts of spending with this new government department, we're calling it. Yes. So, thing number three, Gary, can DOGE, not the ticker DOGE, really make a dent?
Right. So Doge is a really clever play on words. It is one of the favorite nutty cryptocurrencies that Elon Musk loves. And so, we came up with the acronym for Department of Government Efficiency to, as a hat tip to his favorite crypto. Um, at Deep Knowledge Investing, we have a policy that we will talk about government policy. We don't talk about politics. I'm going to break that rule right now. I am a big believer in small government, in limited government spending, and a government that does not try to do everything all the time. I think big government it can be wasteful and is a burden on the people. And so as a result, I really want to see the new Doge succeed. I really want to see Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, both smart men, both driven in the right direction. They both have great intentions and a ton of intellect. And I would love nothing more than for them to succeed. And they're talking about cutting $2 trillion in spending. Um, and I really hope that they succeed and this happens. And they're talking about cutting entire departments and, just huge amounts of stuff. Now, unfortunately, I'm skeptical and I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. I hope a year from now I get to come on here and apologize to everyone and admit my error. And if they succeed in cutting even $1 trillion in spending, forget two, just 1 trillion, I will be apologizing here profusely with
Happily.
happily with a
Happily.
giant smile on my face. I will smile while admitting I was wrong and apologizing. But let's talk about some of the reasons why I'm a bit skeptical. First of all, they're talking about cutting $2 trillion of spending, but only $1.7 trillion of the budget is discretionary. The rest is things like military spending, interest on the
Mhm.
debt, social services, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Who's cutting that? Right? I mean, President Trump over the last three elections has succeeded in turning Florida from a really difficult swing state into a reliably red state. You cut Social Security, that doesn't last in 2024. You cut Social Security, and Florida is no longer a red state in the next election. You cut Medicare and Medicaid, the Democrats will tear him up in Congress. And make the entire administration look heartless and cruel. And so, I think these are all difficult things to do. More than that, the power of the purse really lies in Congress. Now, can the president do some things? Of course, but you want to cut $2 trillion of spending. I'm just going to remind everybody that's $2 trillion of spending that Congress has authorized. So you can't just take a red pen to congressional authorized spending and say, yeah, guess what, Congress, I'm overruling you. It doesn't work that way. I don't know, what we need some constitutional scholar in here, an attorney in here. I
Yeah.
don't know whether they can cut these
Right.
government agencies or not. One of the things they're talking about, which wouldn't save money but would get us better outcomes, they're talking about getting rid of the Department of Education, but not changing funding for education, taking that money and sending it to the states, making education more of a local thing rather than a national thing. That seems interesting, right? I would like to see that tried. Let's try it with 3 or 4 states and see if we start to get better results, right? We don't have to do this all tomorrow. Take 3 or 4 states and try it for a year or two and start and then test and see what happens. But that's not talking about cutting spending. Now, some people might say, well, wait a minute. Hey, President Trump has a mandate. And as of this week, it's very clear that Republicans will maintain a majority in the House. They definitely have a majority in the Senate. Why can't they just do whatever they want? Well, it's not that simple. First of all, the Republican Party is not as unified as the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, they're very good at maintaining discipline and moving in lockstep. The Republican Party is kind of more of a big tent thing. They got a lot of different ideas. They will discuss and debate and bite at each other. And we can debate. whether one solution is better than the other, but this is where we are. The other thing is the Republicans do not have the 60 seats in the Senate that they need to overcome a likely Democratic filibuster on any big spending cuts. Somebody could say, well, wait, they could get rid of the filibuster. Not if they're smart. They won't. The
Right.
Democrats are always threatening to get rid of the filibuster to pass the legislation they want. I am warning the, Team Red, do not get rid of the filibuster. I promise you, if you do it, you will be regretting it, whether it's 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 6 years from now. At some point, you will regret getting rid of the filibuster. Don't do it. And to do the kind of cutting that they're talking about, the Republicans are probably going to have not probably, they will definitely have a single digit majority in the House. It may be as little as 2 or 3 seats. There is no way in the world that they're going to be able to push through controversial legislation that Democrats are against, that some Republicans won't want to run against, and that will never get 60 votes in the Senate. Again, I have nothing but respect and admiration for the intention and intellect of Musk and Ramaswamy. I want to see them succeed. I want to be wrong about this, but I'm skeptical they're going to be able to cut large amounts of money.
One other thing, Gary, that I think gets lost is kind of this misperception as well about President Trump. He gets obviously marked as a dedicated conservative, but if we go back and look at his first term, he was, these are your words, big spending liberal.
He was in that first term, and I know people, the media loves to paint him as an arch conservative, but what he did was he took the incredibly high, incredibly wasteful Obama budgets, which just threw the country into an enormous amount of debt. President Obama ran up debts that exceeded anything we'd seen in the rest of the country since 1776, all put together. And that was horrible. And guess what? President Trump took those insane budgets and then he spent more. He spent more than that. He's not a fiscal conservative. He's a big spender. He spent more than President Obama. So, for me, this isn't a partisan kind of thing. I'm not trying to poke at Team Red or Team Blue. I think President Obama spent too much and then President Trump spent too much even more. Um, again, he's talking about doing this, and I hope they do. I hope they succeed. One other thing I would point out is there are political realities as well. So while we can all agree that a lot of government spending is wasteful, everyone in Congress likes the wasteful spending in their district, right? Everybody says, oh, the government's spending too much, or it's wasteful spending. But what they want is the wasteful spending in someone else's district cut. And just to give you guys an idea of how dumb all of this is, we did a very funny Twitter thread a year or so ago on wasteful spending, where we pointed out our government spent millions of dollars trying to teach Chinese prostitutes to drink more responsibly while on the job. Our government spent $100 million not getting refunds for unused airfare when refunds were available. Literally, people just unwilling to call the airline and say, I didn't use this ticket. I'm eligible for a refund. Can you give me a refund? I mean, we're just throwing away hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars on nonsense. There's low-hanging fruit here. So I'm hopeful, and a year from now, I would love to admit that I'm wrong.